Welcome back, eSIM Studios. We have big news, but first, you know what time it is.
Yeah. Woo.
I just need my
Yeah.
space right now.
Fresh off the G5 jet, I'm on my way to a brand new kit.
Alrighty, well, yes, big news, big news, big news. It looks like Apple, as you can tell from the thumbnail, is in development for making a foldable iPad. Yes, foldable iPad. Now, this will come before the foldable iPhone. I know there's been a lot of talks and discussions in regards to a possible flip style iPhone over the tablet style iPhone, like a fold. There's been, I've seen some rumors kicked around that Apple is going to introduce a flip style, like clamshell, like this, like an alligator mouth, and not the foldable where you open it up like a book. However, that's not the case. Now, they have these in development for years. So I guarantee you there's a division. Well, not guarantee you, there is a division in Apple for future devices. Basically, an R&D team, a research and development team, group, division, what have you, that basically designs future iPhones, and they actually produce a few of them and they use them in the office and test them out, right? They do have foldables in house, but there's no plans to mass produce them and release them as a quote unquote model or an SKU until now. There is a push inside Apple that they are actually going to come out with a foldable iPad before a foldable iPhone. Now, typically these take, now if you don't know, real quick, any phone, whether it be the new Pixel 8 Pro or the S23 Ultra that I'm filming on, or the iPhone 15, these devices typically, from the initial phase of brainstorming and getting the ideas rolling, new models can take 4 years planning, 4 years in advance before they even come out. That includes brainstorming, picking hardware, software that could potentially run on it, and actually getting molds, sending it to the manufacturer, cutting and molding the specific device. They actually produce, like I said, a few of them, and they start using them, testing them out in-house. Some of them will just use them in the office. A lot of them aren't allowed to be taken home. But now we have official inside info that yes, Apple is planning on releasing a foldable iPad here soon. Now we'll get into when shortly, but with the foldable market, it is a big division of Samsung. Samsung is having, in other devices like OnePlus. Oppo, the Chinese company, owns OnePlus. OnePlus just released their, what is it called? OnePlus Open. Really cool foldable. This foldable market is a growing sector inside the mobile device industry. Samsung has had a ton of success with their foldables. I haven't had any other brands. I've had Samsung foldables. I love them. It took me a while, to be honest with you, to start to like them because they're very fragile. The first two, I've had every flip device Samsung has put out, and I just got right now to where the Flip Z, the Samsung Galaxy Z Flip 5 is phenomenal. They really hit a home run. They got it all, they put it all together in this one. It is a good device. If you're skeptical, this one is good to buy. I would not have recommended the previous models until now. So it looks like what Apple's trying to do is not make the same mistakes that Samsung made in their previous 4 years of making a foldable device. Now, what were some of the issues? They were fragile. 2 out of the first 4 that I got basically broke with very minimal impact or damage. A lot of the times you'll see the screen having OLED issues. One of them I dropped on wood flooring, which is not that hard. It's not like concrete, but it only dropped like 12 or 18 inches. Boom, just the display went. And it just until now, they really got everything all together. Very, very solid device. Apple doesn't want to make the same mistake Samsung did in their first 4 years. If Apple's going to release a foldable iPad, they got to hit. Apple does not, put stuff out unless they think that it will be a hit, and they're not going to have many major issues at launch or have a common issue, which is why some of the iPhone 15 stuff is kind of crazy, because you see all sorts of issues now. Another thing that I think Apple, I did some digging around, and I think which they are skeptical, and I'll show you, we'll do a screen share and I'll show you some of the evidence, but is the crease. I know a lot of people, when you get a foldable, right, it's a folding OLED display. And the interesting thing is Samsung is going to make the OLED display that's going to be on this foldable iPad. Yes, Samsung is going to manufacture and produce the foldable display that's going to be on this new iPad. Samsung is basically the leader in the industry when it comes to OLED. Many iPhones today, I think almost, not every, but a large majority of iPhones in recent history are all OLED panels from Samsung. But the crease, when you fold the device open, even though it's all the way open, just in the right lighting, you can still see there's a little crease. And even when you move your finger up and down on the foldable, you can still kind of feel it. Now, there's sometimes at night or whatever you can't even see it, but if you get it just in the right light, you can see the crease. It's gotten a little better over the past few years. I think they've reduced it maybe like 5 to 7% as time has gone on. So it's definitely looks better on this 5th generation than from like Gen 1 or 2. But Apple apparently, this foldable iPad, they've made it a point to not have a crease on this new device. So what they've done is put a ton of time, research, and development and money into creating a hinge that does not have a crease. I think when Samsung gets to that point, and or when Apple releases this foldable iPad that does not have a crease, that's when you're going to see a large majority of the people that are kind of on the fence of getting one. That's when they're going to get it, because that number one thing when I have my flip phones and I'm using it in public, oh, that's cool. Is that the flip phone? I say, yeah, it's really cool. But every single person says, oh, but there's still that, you can still see that crease. Does that crease bother you? It does not bother me. I know some people it does. But if Apple can eliminate that crease, they're going to have a really interesting device on their hands that they are going to sell to the public. And this will also help increase their tablet sales. I know iPad sales, iPhone, well, check this out. Mobile device sales across the board are down. That's a fact. The only device that has been gaining market share in the industry worldwide is the Google Pixel. That's a fact. You can look it up. Now, this should help their tablet sales, because I didn't pull the numbers up, but you can look. The iPad sales year after year have slowly, not a lot, not drastically. People still need tablets. There's use for tablets, and when you go get a tablet, typically iPad is the go-to tablet, at least here in America. I know the Samsung tablets are freaking awesome now. That's what I prefer, but I know most people will go get an iPad if they need a tablet. This would help the sales drastically. This would be the go-to device to get as a tablet, because not only check it out. Here's some of the cool things you can do with it. With a foldable iPad, this will be foldable like a book. It's not going to be the flip. Remember, that would be the iPhone foldable. This iPad foldable is going to open up like a book. So if you turn it right, it's like an iPad. No, iPad. Excuse me. It's like a laptop. If you open it up, they're going to make all sorts of cool accessories. You're going to be able to fold it open like a laptop. And then on the bottom part where you rest your wrists, they'll have a cool keyboard, a virtual digital keyboard that you'll see on the screen. And then the part that opens up, like this display right here, you'll be able to type on it like a laptop. And they're going to have all sorts of cool accessories. And you can just imagine all the stuff that Apple's going to get into. But let me show you one of the leaks, but it's got some good information on here. Let's look at where we are at. Let me share this screen here. Share screen. Yes. Let's see. Here we go. Yeah, ready? Okay. Foldable iPad now in intensive development. Could be announced as soon as next year. Okay. So, like I was saying, hang on, let me get rid of this audio. It's messing up my my stream. So, like I was saying, in development could intensive development could be announced as soon as next year. So they've gone into the stages of planning, testing, planning some more market research, um, and are basically at the stage where they haven't started mass producing this, but it looks like this is one of the final stages that they get at to right before they start mass producing. It says sources outlines how Apple's now working with. See, check this out. Working with suppliers on foldable iPad development. So they're reaching out to Samsung. This is how these leaks get out. Is that Apple, once they figure out what they want to do, this, well, how are we going to make this? Well, let's reach out to our suppliers, meaning Samsung for the display. If they outsource a engineering firm or company to produce the hinge, then they'll reach out to them to see how much the parts would be, get estimates. They're trying to put everything together because cost is one of, obviously, probably the main factor. And not only how much is it going to cost to build it, but profits, how much they can get back for it, how much they can ask for it. So once they start reaching out and start getting these plans into motion, that's when somebody from Samsung and be like, oh, guess who? Guess who reached out to us today? Apple. You know, they want to see about foldable displays for an iPad. People start talking, news starts getting around, and then this is how these leaks come out. So it says ahead of a small scale production scheduled for the end of 2024. So let's see. Foldable iPad development ahead of a small scale production scheduled for the end of 2024. So if they do a small scale production, I'm not sure why it would only be a small scale production if you know what they're going to do. I bet they're going to charge an arm and a leg for this thing, and they have an idea of how many devices. Again, that's where market research comes into play in planning this. They've figured out the math, or they've estimated, okay, so if we price it at $3,000, we think we can sell 200,000 of them. So, and now 200,000 units for Apple is very small. Again, they sell, I think last year they sold, I don't know, 80 million iPhones worldwide. So again, even 1 million said, okay, let's just produce 1 million of these. To Samsung, to Oppo, to OnePlus, 1 million units, 1 million phones is a ton of phones. To, well, maybe not Samsung, but Pixel, to Google, to produce 1 million Pixel 8 Pros, that's a ton of devices. To Apple, that's nothing. They crap that out every night, right? So when you see a small scale production, don't let that that's the meaning behind it. Small scale for them is still a lot for other people. So now the end of 2024. So that would put us we're getting closing in on 23. So if they start mass producing these in 2024, that means that the iPhone 16 would already be out. I'm trying to think of when they would release this. If they mass produce them at the end of 2024, I wonder if they will have them ready by Christmas time, rolling into 2025, which is only about a year away. Um, because I think once you start mass producing them, you can have them on showroom floors or in stores to purchase from the manufacturing plant to the store is probably, I think, about a month or so, about on average. So yeah, around the end of, depends on when in 2024, but it could be around Christmas time next year. So in a, I mean, just over a year, maybe 15 months, something like that. And they would announce it in late 2024 or early 2025 if progress remains steady. So it sounds like they've put this into motion and they gave it the green light to go ahead and get the ball rolling on this. Apple's apparently been working on foldable products for 4 years. What did I tell you? 4 years, 5 years, not three, 4 to 5 years is when they plan stuff out. So Pixel has had this similar, design or thought in motion for years. And it's everything, everything takes time. Stuff's got to be mass produced. You can't do this stuff overnight. Continuously made design changes in this time, planning to release a foldable iPad before working on a foldable iPhone. Apple chose to focus on an iPad because it makes up a comparatively small proportion of the company's sales, meaning that potential issues are easier to manage and less impactful. So, what does that mean? Basically, Apple, they sell so many iPhones. Let's say there's or like, let's take with Samsung, and how I said they don't want to make some mistakes that Samsung made. On the second gen, was it second or third gen of the Z Flip series, they had OLED issues where right inside the crease of the flip there, where you would see lines on the OLED, or the screen would kind of come up from the hinge. If you mass produce, not even let's say 80, not even 88, but let's say, depending on what their market research says, let's say they come out with a flip iPhone and they think they're going to sell 20 million of them. Now, these are going to be super expensive. It just is. So you're not going to sell as many iPhone flips as regular iPhone 17s, right? Or 17 Pro Max. It'll be a smaller number because they are very expensive. So let's say they make 20 million of them. If there's an issue that arises, that's common with the devices, like with the hinge not working properly or the screen, what have you. A huge, huge headache to have to recall like half of them. That'd be 10 million. So they want to test it out. And this is a very good call, a very smart call, a very safe but smart play on Apple's part. They say, okay, yes, the industry is heading that way. We are eventually going to come out with foldables, but let's do the iPad series first. So if something does come up, it's not going to be a big headache. It's not going to, hit us in the pockets as much as it could as, 10 times the devices. And it'll be fairly easy to control. Um, that's a smart play by Apple. I know lots of people said that they want to flipping iPhone, but this is the best and most safe way to introduce this to to your consumer. Because if there is an issue, you don't want it to become ginormous and be this huge. Remember when Samsung had their Note 7, the exploding phone? That was a huge issue. Huge issue. Nobody saw that coming. And look, again, Apple's smart, right? Nobody's going to see an issue coming until it's there. But let's put it out on the iPads. It'll, for one, boost our tablet iPad sales, and two, if there is an issue, it's not going to, cause major concern or hit us in the pocketbooks too hard. Look at this MacBook sales down 30%. So the company has reportedly not yet finalized the design of the foldable iPad. Initially, Apple's product design team led the product, but this role is now said to have shifted to the procurement department to bring down costs. Apple's main objective at this stage is to achieve a more cost effective design, motivating contentiousness stages to the device. A main issue is said to be the device's panel and hinges. See what I tell you? With Apple being particularly concerned about the display crease. The company is reported to be looking to Samsung or LG to provide a display that mitigates the crease effect using mechanical design solutions. Apple is seemingly able to obtain sufficient supply of the device's hinge, but is still seeking a design that is more cost effective and easy to mass produce, which could require further simplification and reduction in the number of parts. Mass production of Apple's first foldable is expected to commence in 2025. There we go. Okay. It says believes the foldable could boost iPad shipments. Duh. Sparking an uptake in otherwise shrinking global market. That's why they're doing it. Duh. Okay. So, like I said earlier, from the leaks that I've seen and read, yes, that double checks and cross references from what I've heard, they are concerned about the crease. They don't want to crease, and they want to get the price of the parts down. Samsung and actually Google, Samsung has basically had the same hinge for like 3 or 4 years. They just updated the hinge on this Z Flip 5 and Fold 5, I believe. I know the Flip had a new hinge where it's smaller and just less moving parts. The more moving parts you have, just like a car, the more moving parts you have, the more chance you have of something messing up. And that's part of the issue that goes into planning a device like this. Google had a all new. Now I know this first year for their foldables, the Pixel Fold, but apparently it was they've scrapped a bunch in R&D that they were going to use, and finally found a hinge that they liked. So that's part of the issue. That's part of releasing a new device, especially one so detailed and intricate as a foldable. You got to find a good hinge. You got to find a good combination, a screen, parts, suppliers, price, all that's in the works. And this is normal. This is normal for every device, not just this foldable, but whatever. They said, well, we could go with this supplier over here, and so said they can get the mid frame for 7% less. What's their supply? Can they supply 100%? All that goes into play. Now, one thing I want to hit real quick before we get out of here is the design. So you can even work on the design, meaning the outside part, what the outside of the device, what it looks like. You can still play with that while everything else is in play or continuing on. Like you know what dimension you're going to have. You have 3D CAD designs of the device. You know what the screen size is going to be. As long as you have that down and the basic parts inside, you can go ahead and start uh, uh, getting a contact with suppliers and pricing, all that stuff. So that can be pushed forward and continue to move while you still debate and decide on the design. Because mainly the design stuff, now minus a few things, but you can still move on with the phone or foldable tablet or foldable iPad while you're still trying to decide on the design, meaning you can still, you're going to have the same speaker or a new speaker you're designing, or the ribbon cables in there, battery. You can supply all that, you can produce all that, and then the finishing touches are just on the outside, right? Like, do you put right? Like, should we put the flash up here and over there, or do we, all these little aesthetics things, like where should the volume rocker be, or little stuff like that. You can debate on and decide later, but getting the device internals and all the main stuff sounds like they've already started. So good news. Yes, the the speculations are true. Apple is coming out with a foldable, but it's going to be an iPad first, not a phone, not a foldable iPhone. So you heard it here first on eSIM Studios. Now, stay tuned to the channel, and we will have updates and news on this specific topic. I'm going to keep a very close eye on this, but we also have case reviews. Pixels just came in doing tons of testing on it. And we have some other news right around the corner that's very big. So please please subscribe to the channel. If you got any questions, I love answering y'all's questions, and I truly appreciate y'all viewing this video in the channel. It means a lot to me. It really does. If you have any questions on anything, whether it be this topic, whether it be what case you should get for your new Pixel, uh, whatever. If you can't decide between a Samsung or Pixel or Samsung and iPhone, and you want my advice, please hit me up in the comments and ask. I try to answer everybody's questions or comments. So thank you for joining. I do appreciate everything, as I said, and I will hit you back with another video here shortly. Take care. Peace out.